So guys, I think you know a little bit more about sports than I do. What does the term the clutch actually mean?
Oh, the clutch? The clutch actually refers to the area of a transatlantic shipping vessel where the gold and rubies were stored.
That doesn't sound right.
Katie's right. It actually refers to a torture device used by the Vikings to extract important information from their enemies.
That doesn't sound right either.
Danny isn't right. The clutch refers to the secret room where President Richard Nixon used to plan out his acts of revenge against his enemies.
Are you guys making this up? I'm being serious.
That's not correct either. The Clutch was the name of the office where Martin Scorsese wrote his best films. Goodfellas, The Departed, Casino. He spent months in there working on The Taxi Driver.
Wasn't that Schrader? Anyways, neither of you have any idea, do you?
Wrong, Danny. The clutch actually is named after the Lovecraftian demigod, the Cthulhu, who, in addition to being all-knowing, had a magnificent jump shot that never seemed to miss in the fourth quarter.
Why do I even try?
Coming up on the show, WBFF pro Kelly Boone stops by. I sit down with Steelheads captain Stuart Percy. And do energy drinks really give you wings?
Welcome to The Clutch. I'm Danny Schertzer.
I'm Kelly Boone.
And I'm Ben Carter. On the show today, we're going to meet a father and son training the next generation of athletes, meet a player-turned-coach who found a way to stay in the game, and witness the culmination of an epic competition.
And guys, after the long lockout, we're finally back in the swing of things in the NHL.
Yeah, I've been following the season so far, and even though they'll only be playing 48 games, this could be a long season for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I feel like the Leafs could definitely be in the basement this year. They fired Brian Burke for no real reason. They don't have a #1 center, and their goaltending is lousy. I think they're going to be picking very early in the NHL draft this year.
Okay, settle down. For sure they've had a rough start, but their young talent's playing great. Nazem Kadri has been on fire. They're one goalie trade away from being a playoff team in the East.
Well, you know what, guys? I'm from Edmonton. You can worry about the Leafs. I'm really enjoying the Oilers season so far and some of their incredible young talent.
One thing for sure, though, injuries are going to play a big role in this season. A lot of teams' playoff hopes can be dashed because of injuries.
On the topic of injuries, we have a powerful story about a lacrosse player whose career was derailed by concussions, but he found a way to stay close to the game he loves. Nazar Ahmed has the story.
Like all lacrosse players, former Durham Turf Dogs captain Brandon Turner dreamt of playing in the National Lacrosse League. However, concussions have forced him to find a new role in the sport.
Most guys would probably tell you that have played contact sports, you couldn't even put a number on how many concussions you've had. The first time I had one playing lacrosse was like 2-3 years ago. I was playing with the Rochester Nighthawks at the time, and I'd received one in training camp, and then they had shut me down for 8 months. Was lucky not to have any more, and then I had 4 in the past 6 months, like 4 real good ones, and then the last one was a extra good one because I came back too soon from a concussion, and here I am now as a coach, not a player.
So you can think of a concussion kind of as a bruise to your brain. So the brain has moved around in the skull and hit either side or both sides of the bony skull, and there can be bleeding, and that bleeding can get worse over time after that initial hit. So that's why they always say, you know, you want to monitor your symptoms for a period of time after your hit, because if there is a bleed, you know, your brain is a small cavity, and if it fills up and the pressure gets larger, your symptoms are going to get worse, and potentially, if it's really bad, they could be life-threatening.
With increased awareness and more of an emphasis being placed on concussions in sports, the outlook and perception of lacrosse and head injuries is starting to change.
I think the perception of the guys that don't want to tell the trainer, I think that's changing now with, you know, the media attention to concussion, and people are more aware of how serious it is, and people aren't doing that as often. At least I find with the teams that I work with, the guys are more likely to come and talk to me when they're having problems, which is good and it's important.
I was going to ask them if I could just be like a water boy and just help out and be around with the boys, because I mean, some of these guys, we've only been playing together for 1 year, but some of them are some of my best friends now, and not being around them twice a week would be tough. So I was just going to ask to help out wherever I could, and then they asked me to be a coach. And I mean, the next best thing to being a player is being a coach. So I was floored, and I was honored that he asked me, and I definitely didn't expect it.
We said that this, the guy's such a team character guy, and a guy that is so important to the team in general, that we had to bring him along. And he expressed a little interest before, so we said, why don't we bring him along here and have him learn and grow as a coach.
I'd say probably 2 years ago, I had a really good one. A real bad concussion. And that's, you can't do anything for sometimes 2-3 weeks but sit in a dark room and can't have the TV on. It weighs on you very much, and especially like you say, you're thrown into this athlete role as a kid, and it's all you know how to do, and it's all you know how to be is this tough athlete, this aggressive athlete. And when you're so vulnerable that I couldn't pick up my lacrosse stick and pick up a ball because my motor skills were so off, it just crushes you. Everything's been kind of thrust into the media and the spotlight with, like you say, all the football players and the wrestlers and all the books and all the movies that have come out. And I mean, you can't get away from it. And I let myself get completely immersed in it. And once I had to stop playing, it just tore me apart.
I mean, in the past, the biggest problem has been everybody wants to be, especially in a sport like lacrosse, is it's a tough man's game. So guys want to tough it out. You're not tough if you have to sit out even a month, maybe a couple months, even perhaps a season because of a concussion. But now with the awareness that's getting out there, nobody's going to feel disrespected if you have to sit out perhaps a season for a concussion and save your career.
There's a movie out there called Head Games that it basically just spins off of the book that was written by Christopher Nowitzki, who was a retired wrestler / football player. He's the one that really kind of spearheaded everything at Boston University with looking for CTE and figuring everything out. In the movie, they say 95 or 97% of the brains that they check from the football players that are donated have CTE.
Scientists at UCLA claim to have found the holy grail of brain research. They can now detect the disease known as CTE in living patients and not just through autopsies.
For them to be able to find it in living people, that's huge. That will save who knows how many lives. So I do think that it will change how everything is looked at in sports in terms of how everything's played and how the rules are looked at, and even how everything is diagnosed. There's still countless people, I'm sure, that the trainers they whisper in the guy's ear, "Are you okay? Do you need me to really take you to the dark room?" And players, no, don't do that, don't do that. And they let that guy go out there and play when really he should be going to the dark room and getting tested and getting checked out. I mean, especially now, like it's kind of like it's not even 6 months after one tragedy, there's another tragedy, whether it's hockey players or football players. So, I mean, I know lacrosse isn't in the spotlight, but there's a lot of contact in lacrosse and a lot of head contact. So I'm sure, I mean, they fly under the radar because they're lacrosse players, but I'm one of countless guys that are dealing with whatever I'm going through.
I've tried to put some more awareness out there for it and make sure that there aren't any more Brandon Turners, to make sure that the guys that really have a lot of potential in the game get to realize that potential instead of having their careers ended early by something that they could have prevented.
If I knew 4 years ago what I know now, honestly, I probably would have stopped playing then.
Brandon is making the most of his transition from player to coach, and his National Lacrosse League dreams haven't been dashed just yet.
I'd love to be a head coach, obviously. Every assistant coach would like to be a head coach, and I'd love to coach the NLL. That's at the highest level, and guys wait 20, 25 years to even get a chance to be an assistant coach on a pro team. And here I am, not even 3 months after stopping playing. I'm assistant coach on a semi-pro team, and I mean, the sky's the limit at this point in my eyes.
Amazing. Seeing that kind of dedication to a sport he can no longer play shows a lot of heart. Turner coaching after having his playing career cut short shows the true power of the human spirit. It really reminds you about all those inspirational sports stories.
Yeah, definitely. From Kurt Schilling's bloody sock to Jack Youngblood playing with a broken leg, athletes have a special mindset to be able to play through excruciating pain. It shows that somebody loves the sport that they play, they will do anything to stay in the game.
Well, you know what? That raises a good point. What are your favorite inspirational sports stories?
I'm going to go with the 2006 NHL playoffs when Ryan Smith of the Oilers blocked a puck with his face, lost 3 teeth, it did not miss his shift. You only get one chance to win a Stanley Cup, and sometimes you're going to lose a tooth or 3.
Again, with the Oilers. Danny.
For me, it was 49ers safety Ronnie Lott, who in the 1985 season, during a play, got his pinky finger crushed. He could have had surgery and missed time, but he decided to have the part amputated. And for me, that shows a lot of dedication of playing through pain.
Amputated. Are you kidding me? Because you know what, guys? I Googled what the clutch stands for. It has nothing to do with Vikings or secret rooms belonging to past presidents.
No, this really happened. Another amazing story, Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, battling through the flu in the '97 NBA Finals. He woke up the day of the game, he could barely stand, but he played the entire game, finished with 38 points and the victory.
You know, that's pretty impressive, but I happen to like my teeth and my fingers just the way they are, nice and intact. There is no way I'd keep playing through all of that pain. And you know what? I don't think professional athletes should either, because pain is the body's way of telling you something's wrong. I mean, the whole concept just seems a little outdated.
It was a different era. Back then, athletes couldn't miss that much time. Nowadays, a player can come back for an ACL injury in 6 to 8 months. Back then, it was a death sentence for a player's career.
Recovery time aside, it's really an athlete's desire to win that keeps them pushing through pain. But wanting to come out on top isn't just limited to the pros. Our very own Ben Carter and clutch reporter Brian Oliver have been duking it out since their very first shift. Now they've raised the stakes and created what they're calling the Average Joe Down. Check it out.
One drank beer, the other went fishing. 2 men, one common goal, satisfaction. This feud runs deeper than the frostiest pint glass or the most plentiful Ontario waterway. Our first competition is pool. There's nothing more beautiful than 2 men meeting up with their cues.
Pool, or as our forefathers call it, billiards, was a fun game to play.
Pool was the first one. We both came out guns a-blazing. Ryan, not necessarily know the rules or know how the game operated, so I had to kind of get in there and show him how it's done. That was even close. He knew his way around a cue. He's a fast learner. I respect intelligence and his ability to learn.
I got on a little bit of a roll. I found hole after hole after hole. Then it came down to the black ball and buried.
Probably could have put that 8 ball in like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And the champion for pool is Brian! Shuffleboard is like curling, but motionless at a table.
Shuffleboard, that was a tough one.
It's a 21. It's true. And heads or tails to go first. You call in the air.
Heads.
Go ahead.
How do you do?
Quite well.
How do you do? I mean, honestly, I'm never going to be the sort of guy who's going to blame the table. I'm not going to assign blame to the facilities, but like, come on, this is an amateur hour. This is a serious competition.
This table is all sorts of crazy.
This is not a great table. Keep your equipment in good working order.
That's tip 1. Evelyn teaches that in the guide in her shuffleboard.
Instructional video. A lot of difficulty at that table, but I mean, we were both playing on the same table, right? Both the rules applied to both of us, and you know, I made the shots when they mattered, and Brian did not make the shots when they mattered, or when they didn't matter. He didn't make any shots. That was probably why I lost.
And the winner for this amazing game of shuffleboard, give it up for Ben Carter.
You know, it really doesn't get any more nail-biting than that.
I mean, clearly I'd take the cake. Brian does not stand a chance. Let's lay out the stats. I'm taller, more agile, and way better looking.
I really don't see how looks are going to play into this competition of yours.
Coming up after the break, we have a father and son duo who have trained some of the NHL's elite. Clutch reporter Justin Grant tackles energy drinks, and most importantly, we're going to find out who's the better man, Ben or Brian. Hang in there. You know, Dan, I've been thinking about this topic for a while. What's your opinion on oversupportive parents at the rink? I bet we're going to have differing opinions on this.
Well, just the way you said it already means we're going to be on opposite sides. Oversupportive parents, there's no such thing.
But the kicking and the screaming, parents yelling at their kids to get their head in the game, you can't say it doesn't get a little extreme.
You know, the way I see it, without the parents, the kids wouldn't even be able to get to the rinks.
But isn't it a little distracting to the kids?
Distracting? More like encouraging.
I don't think we're ever going to see eye to eye. But whether it's a 6 a.m. practice or just going to a game, hockey in Canada features a unique bond between parents and their kids. We've got a father and son team standing by to talk to Ben about their athlete training facility and the dynamic of working with one another. But first, here's their backstory.
Hey Cameron, where were you on Tuesday? What? Yeah, you still could have come in and done push-ups.
Richard and Wes Clark are known for producing top professional athletes such as John Tavares, PK Subban, and many more at their facility in Mississauga, Ontario. They are in the business of turning amateurs into professionals, and sometimes it can be a little difficult.
No, the front leg side. We just told you. This guy got you on camera now. He's going to put all over Oakville. Say, this guy can't follow directions.
All right, we are here with Richard and Wes Clark from the Athlete Training Center in Mississauga. Thank you guys so much for coming out. So Richard, how did you get into the business of training athletes?
I've always been involved in sports, and this business actually formed when I started buying equipment for my son in my basement to train him. He was a junior player at the time, and his goal was to get an athletic scholarship to the U.S. and put some equipment in the basement. At that time, before that, we were going to the YMCA, and he started getting tired of those early mornings. So we went out and bought some equipment, and next thing you knew, Matt Molson was on New York Islanders. His father asked if I would work with some of his kids. They were 13, 14-year-old kids, and it was really good for them. Then the next year, some other athletes came back from university. John Tavares showed up, and that was in 2004.
Yeah. And Wes, let me ask you, father and son working together, what is that like?
It's quite the dynamic, that's for sure. You know, we have our good days and our not so good days as well, right? Like just before we got here, we were arguing about the business a little bit, but it's all in good fun, and I think it's our competitive nature that drives our business to try and be world class, right? So
yeah. Yeah, and I understand that before you moved into your own facility, you operated out of some kind of unconventional places like your basement, as you mentioned before. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we were in the basement through to 07. So we had people coming in. There was a lot of people. Neighbors weren't too happy. There's a bylaw in Oakville, you can't operate a business out of a house. So we ran into a few obstacles that way. Then we moved into another gym in 07, a place called Fitness Fanatics in Mississauga. It's a regular gym, but we leased warehouse space in the back from them on a variable cost basis.
Yeah.
And then the following year went into our own facility, and this is our 5th year there.
Yeah. And what are some of the more unconventional or innovative methods you use to train athletes?
I don't know if we've had anything that's innovative. You know, it's pretty hard to reinvent the wheel when it comes to training. I think what's been the best thing for us is our atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys that originally came still call it the Dungeon. We have a hockey game in the summer, it's the Dungeon Cup. You know, all the NHL guys are playing that game, and the atmosphere is very competitive. They feed off one another, they push. Sometimes it's almost like a scene out of Gladiators. They're working so hard in there, and it's pretty hard to replicate that, but that's been our, you know, I think behind our success is that atmosphere.
So it would be fair to say you have somewhat of an old school philosophy when it comes to training?
Well, we stay on top of things what the current trends are. I mean, I don't know what you mean by old school. When I started this back in 03, you know, I was a former football player, and I was going back to some of that stuff, but what you're doing now is light years removed from what you would call old school. So a lot of new things, you know, that's come along. But when you say innovative, there's a lot of different trainers using the same exercises, but it's not something that was done 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. And Wes, well, you train not just hockey players, you train rugby, soccer, lacrosse players as well. What are some things that apply to all of those sports? What are some of the things that you try to?
Well, I think something that we just like to instill is culture, right? I mean, whatever sport it is, you know, you got to commit yourself fully, whatever you want to do, right? You know, when it comes to nutrition, your training, and then your skill development, whatever sport it may be, you got to put everything you can into it if you want to achieve whatever goal you may have, right? Whether get a scholarship or become a pro, it's culture. So.
Yeah, I'll add to that is that, you know, you hear some people say they do sport-specific training. Well, in a facility like ours, everyone does the same thing. Everyone's getting strong. They're building up their legs with squats. They're, you know, upper body, pulling exercise, pushing exercises. The sport-specific training is done on the actual field of play, which you do in a practice, which is specific to each sport. But every athlete from lacrosse, football, rugby, hockey, they're all getting those legs strong and working on explosive starts and their speed.
Yeah, and so much of your program is about determination and toughness. Have you trained any athletes that stand out in terms of their mental toughness and their mental determination? Any in particular that come to mind?
Yeah, John Tavares. I mean, all the elite ones, the guys that make the pros, and even some of the guys in the college level, their determination never to miss a workout, to give 100% every time they're in there. Even on the ice, you see the same thing. They're just not going to get defeated that day. If they're doing a conditioning run against other guys, it's a competition. They don't want to finish behind them. You know, Chris Corbeil, another Oakville resident who plays in the National Lacrosse League. I mean, we call these guys our animals. They're just, and you know, other kids, younger kids are trying to live up to them, but they haven't really learned that yet.
Yeah. And last question, we have Stuart Percy on the show of the Mississauga Steelheads. What can you tell us about Stuart? He trained at the Athlete Training Center. What can you tell us about him?
He's a quiet kid, that's for sure, but you know, obviously a gifted athlete, and you know, he's trained with us for a number of years. But last summer he was training within the Maple Leafs organization downtown Toronto. So, but I definitely keep a close relationship with him because I do work in the OHL right now with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, right? So, you know, those gifted athletes and kids that have, you know, reached their potential when it comes to athleticism, you know, they have something that separates them from everybody else, right? They have drive and commitment, and you know, hopefully you can get over the hurdle here and crack the NHL Toronto Maple Leafs at some point too. So
yeah, and yeah, for sure, we're all keeping a very close eye on him. Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming by. It was very, very informative.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to come in.
All right, now back to Katie and Danny at the desk.
Thanks, Ben. There'll be more hockey later in the show, but first, you see it everywhere. Red Bull, they sponsor arenas, they sponsor events, they sponsor teams. I mean, Red Bull's really made its name in the world of sports.
Did you know, though, when Red Bull was first released, Health Canada had trouble classifying it?
No, I didn't know that. Why?
Well, it didn't fall under the drug or food categories, so they created a new category called Natural Health Products. Now, all energy drinks are released under that heading.
Natural health product? You know, I don't buy it. Is Red Bull really all it's cracked up to be? Clutch reporter Justin Grant answers that with this.
Ignition sequence start.
The sun. It's the most powerful energy source in our solar system. While here on Earth, scientists have spent decades perfecting a formula that takes the human body to new heights.
0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
And it's called Red Bull. It's the most successful, most widely available energy drink on the market, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. Launched in 1987, Red Bull grabbed us by the balls. It spawned an entire industry worth more than $6 billion annually, and it shows no sign of slowing down. Available in 164 countries, mankind chugged an astounding 4.6 billion cans in 2011 alone.
They're especially popular with the youth market, video gamers, athletes, college students. But there may be a hidden cost. A recent U.S. government survey found that the number of people seeking emergency room treatment after consuming energy drinks actually doubled between the years 2007 and 2011. Energy drinks have weathered criticism from health professionals for years and have been linked to heart attacks, strokes, and even death.
In 2011, a Maryland teen died from caffeine toxicity after drinking 4 cans of Monster in a 48-hour span. She did, however, suffer from a pre-existing heart condition.
Most energy drinks remain unregulated by the American FDA, but the European Food and Safety Authority maintained the chief ingredients, caffeine, guarana, taurine, are perfectly safe for human consumption.
Caffeine stimulates your nervous system, so common effects of that are nervousness, twitching, problem sleeping, and possible irregular heartbeats. So overconsumption of caffeine can lead to serious disorientation, hallucinations, loss of consciousness, and convulsions.
Health Canada advises a daily caffeine intake of no more than 400 milligrams, which is equivalent to 3 medium-sized cups of coffee. And because it's a stimulant, caffeine can cause a laundry list of unpleasant physical symptoms, including insomnia, headaches, and dehydration. To compare, a can of Red Bull contains less caffeine than a cup of coffee, but twice as much as a can of Coca-Cola.
Broadcast journalism student and reality show finalist Nazar Ahmed shares a typical relationship with energy drinks.
Basically what happened was during this drafted competition, the way it kind of worked was it was a week long, and each day we would receive a new challenge. And obviously we take these challenges very seriously because it all leads up to a dream job. So you're prepping for like 4, 5, 6 hours, and you know, coffee I guess just didn't do it for me. You know, so I really had to, I went out and I got a few cases of Red Bull, and I made sure before, just a few minutes before each challenge, I would just, you know.
I think you drank 2 energy drinks prior to doing the obstacle course, which I think is unhealthy, actually.
You really do crash. You know, after this intense high off of Red Bull, you do crash, and it was rough, and especially getting through those confessionals. The Red Bull definitely didn't help with the mental aspect.
Whether you're pulling an all-nighter, hitting the bar, or hitting the gym, energy drinks like Red Bull are guaranteed to give you that extra boost. Just be prepared for the crash. For the Clutch, I'm Justin Quinn.
Marbles. All balls in the middle.
Marbles, yeah, marbles. Again, there were some definite challenges. Mostly the fact that marbles is dumb.
Just flick some balls, several directions, and for whatever reason, Ben won. Still not sure how, but I don't think anyone does. And that's the beauty of sport.
Ooh, great shot. Wasn't how I planned it. And the winner for this marble challenge is Ben Carter. Darts, not just for smoking. Take a look at our competitors over here.
Darts, yeah, darts. Feel like I was at my best here. I got it a good warm-up.
I feel like it's all in the forearms.
Oh yeah, you need strong enough forearms to do this activity.
I've been doing a lot of chin-ups lately, so
you should be fine.
I agree. With a sport like this, safety first, always.
You never know.
I just made those shots, you know. It's a game I've been familiar with for a very long time. My father used to watch dart videos of the legendary British world champion Alan Caves.
You're like a regular Alan Caves.
Uh-oh. You did it.
I did it.
I gotta get it in 2. You did it.
And the winner for this dart competition, give it up for Ben Carter.
You know, I really can't take my eyes off of you, even for a second. I don't know what it is about arguing that you two just love so much.
Coming from the guy who skipped off work the other day to play board games with Brian.
Back to arguing. It's that victory type feeling I get every time we debate that just feels so good.
Every time. Every time. Danny, I'm going easy on you here. We're only halfway through, you know, the show. I didn't want you to lose your cool.
Okay, we're settling this once and for all. Here's how it's going to work. It's not about your opinion this time, so much as it's about who is the master debater. I'll pick a topic and toss, and we will determine which side of the argument you get. You'll have an uninterrupted 30 seconds to make your claim, and then there'll be another 30 for back and forth. And finally, this nonsense will be settled once and for all.
I'm on. Bring it.
Bring it on, Danny. Going down.
All right. First topic is performance-enhancing drugs. Katie, you are against it. You will go first. Ready? Go.
All right, Dan. Here's the thing. You can't have people who aren't using drugs and people using drugs in the same league. It's just not fair. So the question is, when are you going to have, like, when is this going to be brought into it? You're going to have little kids shooting up drugs, you know? It's not like they're going to mold their game, and then it's going to completely change when they bring drugs into it. They're not going to be proper. Athletes aren't going to be role models anymore. It's not going to be about healthy living. It's going to be about pharmaceutical companies and who can make the best drug. We're going to be guinea pigs, and we're all going to die.
All right, 30 seconds. Time is up. Danny, your retort.
Of course I'm not going to advocate for kids using performance-enhancing drugs. That's just silly. You have to be 18. That's what I propose. You have to be 18 to use performance-enhancing drugs. That way you're legally an adult and you can make the choice of whether or not to use performance-enhancing drugs. And new records will be made. Who else would want to see somebody hit 80 home runs in a year? I would. Wouldn't you?
No, you know what? I wouldn't, because it's gonna cheapen the sport. Home run is not gonna be a big deal anymore, and you're gonna have, like, okay, drinking, legal drinking age. There's one. Do people drink underage? Yeah, they do. So it's gonna trickle down. It's just.
But hang on, drinking's a bit different. Drinking, you just have a bartender who takes a smart serve course. With drugs, like performance-enhancing ones, you have to go through the government, which would be a central distillery. You would get checked thoroughly before you could.
Don't buy it.
All right. That's 30 seconds. That was good. That was good. I like the way this is going. All right. Our second subject is tanking in sports. Danny Schertzer, you are against it. Go right ahead.
People who tank in sports, they're despicable. You know what? Perfect example of this. Look at the Ottawa Senators back in the 90s. They lost all the games in the last part of the season, all to get Alexander Daigle. And guess how that turned out? You paid him $12 million. He gave you about 50 points over 3 years, and then he left. So, in a sense, how did tanking go for them? Not well. You're basically telling your players there's no point in trying and basically just give up because we're going for a better draft pick.
All right. Danny, 30 seconds. Katie, go ahead.
Rhetorical question. What's the difference between 10th place or roundabout and 12th place? A better draft pick. Wouldn't you want a better draft pick so that the next year you could go back into it with a better player, you'd have a fresh face, everyone would want this prospect. You're the new hot team, bandwagoners would be all over it, and it just, you got merch, your players would get to rest. Yeah, they would. The best players would get to rest, and
it goes against the spirit of competition. Why would you go to see a game if you knew one team was deliberately throwing in the towel every night? And you could throw out the argument that, you know, you're giving the prospects a chance to show
You
their
are
stuff.
giving the prospects a chance to show. You know, they'll get to see, the coaches will be able to see who gets to play, how they play, can they handle it? I mean, it's a big deal stepping up to the
But
NHL.
people don't go to the games to see scrubs and prospects play. They go to see
People
superstars.
are gonna go to the games
they go to see
regardless,
LeBron.
Danny.
They go to see Crosby. They go to see Ovechkin. They don't go to see John Jones or somebody like that.
That's okay. That's good. I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. This is our last debate. It is on the subject of all-star games in sports. Katie, you are in favor of them. 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, so who doesn't love the All-Star games growing up? You get to see all your favorite players, every single one of them, and they're just lined up for you to see playing. Players that you would never, ever, ever get to see working together, work alongside one another, playing next to each other. There's lots of money for the league, which gets, you know, better things for everybody. Everyone benefits because at the end of the day, it's a business. And, I mean, the fans pick the starting lineups. So you get to see everyone you want to see. It's a fan's game.
All right, 30 seconds. Danny?
All-Star games, all they are is a giant popularity contest. Look at the NBA. You get Jeremy Lin voted in. Jeremy Lin had one good half of a season in New York, and now because he's popular, he gets voted in over a guy like David Lee. David Lee is having an all-star caliber year. Also, if you want to see the worst case of all-stars game, 2012 Pro Bowl. Honestly, I've seen Pee Wee football players play better than them. They don't even try it. They're professional athletes, and they're like this. And then let the guy go around
Good
them.
impression, Dan.
Honestly, it was like 4-year-olds playing.
All right, 30 seconds. Go right ahead.
Doesn't change the fact that you still get to see all of the top players in the one thing. You turn on your TV and there's everyone you have ever wanted to see lined up right there in front of you.
At the same time, though, some guys don't want to go. They say, why would I go to a glorified scrimmage if I could be playing in the championship game? Nobody wants to play in an all-star game. Everybody wants to play for the Cup. Everybody wants to play for Lombardi. Nobody wants to play for the Pro Bowl.
You need fans. People are going to want to see it. People want to see it, so people are going to play so that they can have a job.
All-Star
right.
games, just over girl fight scrimmage.
Nope, whatever, we're done.
All right, that's
I won.
30 seconds. Devil's Advocate is
Who won?
over. I have to pick a winner, and you forgot one thing, Danny. The winner of the Pro Bowl gets a free Buick Rendezvous, and I think that's pretty sweet.
Buick
so.
Rendezvous? You gotta be kidding me.
Katie
Good
Breen
Lord.
is the winner of Devil's
Victory.
Advocate.
Well, that was obvious.
Good Lord. All
Yeah.
about car. Jeez.
But I'm glad we were able to have some spirited debate here on The Clutch, although if there's one thing that everybody can agree on, it is the promise of 19-year-old Stuart Percy's mental game.
Yeah, he's potentially going to play for the Leafs one day. Of course, I'd praise him for his mental ability.
I caught up with him after a Mississauga Steelheads practice to talk about the OHL season and his future. But before we get to that, check out his bio.
With our second selection in the first round, the Toronto Maple Leafs are pleased to select from the Ontario Hockey League, Mississauga St. Michael's Majors, defenseman Stuart Percy.
Stuart Percy is currently the captain of the Mississauga Steelheads, a proven leader on and off the ice with a high hockey IQ. His ability to get out of trouble in his own zone with his two-way game is what makes him such a complete player. Drafted 25th overall in the 2011 NHL entry draft by the Toronto Maple Leafs, Percy is one step closer to his dream of making it big. Chosen during the first round of the 2011 NHL draft, and currently the captain of the Mississauga Steelheads. How's it feel to wear the C?
It's just such an honor. I think last year being named with the majors, I think it was a great opportunity to be the captain of that was such a historic franchise, and luckily our coach kept me captain this year to be the first ever captain of the Steelheads, which is a great honor, and hopefully this will be a great team in the future that everybody want to play for, and to be the first captain is something special.
Absolutely. And the playoffs are just around the corner. What do you intend to do to make the postseason?
I think we just need to stick to how we've been playing. I think the last 3 weeks we haven't won a lot of games, but we've been in almost every game, and we just need to score that extra goal to get us over the hump that keeps us in the playoff hunt, and hopefully get in the playoffs and do what we do best. We're a pretty good playoff team, and we've got a lot of guys with experience, so hopefully we'll be able to scare a couple teams.
Probably the biggest news in all of hockey, the NHL lockout. How did that lockout affect the OHL season?
I don't think it might have done things here and there. I think you see a couple of the top players in the OHL that I guess would have been there the whole season, or maybe got a couple more games, but other than losing those top couple players, and the only other affection would be for players like myself and Dylan DeMello getting to go to NHL camp and getting that great experience to be on the ice with NHLers and AHL players that kind of make you that much better. I think it didn't affect it too much, but it was also good to just stay here in September and stay here with the guys and get really acquainted with all the younger guys on the team, and really get that team bonding going early in the season. So that was also, I guess, a positive out of no NHL camp for us.
Growing up a Leafs fan, a native of Oakville, Ontario, what's it like knowing that you could one day don the blue and white?
It's just such a dream come true, I guess. Last year I got to play in the rookie showcase, which was in Oshawa, and which was a ton of fun, and we got to wear the Leafs jerseys and compete against the Sens, the Blackhawks, and the Penguins prospects. So that was already a lot of fun, and I can't even begin to imagine what it'd be like to be down at the ACC on a game day and kind of being the big show for once. So I'm going to be doing everything in my power to be able to do that. Hopefully down the road sometime.
Absolutely. Hearing your name through those loudspeakers on draft day, what was that like? Take us through the day.
The day wasn't, one of my best days. I think, my parents, they were pretty annoyed by me. I think, on draft day I was pretty tense and, really nervous. So, during the day I just I think I had my breakfast with my parents, and then I just kind of chilled, with a couple buddies at the hotel that were also getting drafted, and then I just, took a bit of a nap and went to the rink and sat there for about 3 hours since I was, later in the first round. But when it finally came around and I heard my name called, it was, I can't even remember. I watched the video on YouTube still, and still get the chills. So it seems like it almost wasn't real, but definitely a dream come true, and couldn't be more happy that it was the Leafs.
Yeah, there were tons of hugs going around. Eh?
Yeah. I still remember one of my friends, Lucas Lesio, his grandmother was sitting down the row, and she kind of came over to congratulate me, and I didn't kind of know who she was until after you know, my parents told me, oh, that was Lesio's grandma. So it was definitely you know, a moment to remember.
For sure. Your mental game gets a lot of praise. What else do you think you could bring to the Leafs organization?
Hopefully just, you know, a solid two-way defensive game. I think, you know, for me, I pride myself in being solid in the defensive zone, you know, strong positionally, as well as, you know, just moving the puck up the ice and getting the puck to the forwards. I think that's one thing that's also my strength is, you know, just making smart decisions and simple decisions to get the puck up the ice, as well as just being strong back there, you know, in our D zone, and hopefully not allowing too many goals when I'm on the ice, and hopefully get the attack going so we don't have to spend so much time in our D zone.
For sure. And all this attention, how has it changed your life?
Not too much. I think you run into the odd, you know, Leafs, you know, super fan that kind of really knows, you know, everybody in their organization, from the players that are playing to, you know, the AHL players to, you know, me, one of the prospects. So, you know, you run into them. You know, I've ran into a couple of them at the movie stores or, you know, at the mall that are like, oh, hey, how's it going? And, you know, it's just kind of a cool feeling. But other than that, it hasn't changed too much. I'm still the same guy, and you know, it's just been a lot of fun.
And finally, there is a giant cardboard cutout of you in the lobby of here at the Hershey Center. How do you feel about that?
That was kind of cool. I think when the Steelheads, you know, they called me, they asked me to, you know, do the photo shoot for that, and you know, I was all for it. I was, you know, I thought it would be, you know, pretty cool, and it has been. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, take pictures with their phone when they see me around Mississauga and send the picture to me, and you know, I got one for Christmas for my parents, so they're pretty happy about that because they also love it.
Excellent. Well, that's about it. I thank you for sitting down with us. I really appreciate you taking your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Best of luck with the rest of the season.
Thanks a lot.
Table tennis. It's like tennis, except on a table, but stationary. Wait a minute, haven't we done this before?
Going in, I knew I was going to win. I've been playing table tennis for decades.
I call this one the Farkas, in reference to the Turkish great.
Brian, tremendous respect. He is a tablesman, if there ever were one. He knows his tables, he knows his balls, he knows his nets, he knows his paddles.
Balls got on him quick, and just flew by his face. Couldn't recover. I think he was traumatized by all that ball action, but he wouldn't be.
For the win.
Let nobody say that I don't go all out, that I'm not giving 100%. Just that, because you can't give more, that's foolish.
And the winner is Brian!
This one hurt, and the reason that it hurt is because I had the advantage at first. I came out strong. I was really punishing him early on. It was like we were speaking different languages.
Sinew, in reference to muscle.
Okay. So I was speaking English, and he was speaking a less good kind of English.
Punt for 12 points.
This was Ben's downfall. He got ahead early and he took his foot off the proverbial gas pedal.
B and za.
You really know your Scrabble dictionary. Hello. Hello.
Oh, you
Hello.
got lucky there.
Oh, but 18 for Chip.
What Chip doesn't know is that I got an ace up my V-neck sleeve.
And the winner with 325 points. Give it up for Brian Oliver. I have to say, Ben is probably one of the biggest sore losers I have ever met.
There aren't a lot of things that I hate more than losing. Nazism, deforestation, oil spills, the trafficking and sale of counterfeit goods, endemic office workplace sexism. I hate that.
Feel your pain, man. Feel your pain. Some deep stuff there.
Intellectual property theft. I don't care for that.
Who does?
But losing. That's, after all those things, I hate that. It's those things that meant losing.
It's tough, man. It's tough. But, hey, that's life, you know. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win.
And that was Scrabble. And you know, we're tied 3 apiece. We've got a big match coming up. But I think I've been in more fights than Ben has. Can't be positive.
It's like that old fable, you know, the slow and steady wins the race, right? You know, the dolphin and the sharktopus, I believe it's known as. And in this case, I'm the dolphin, and Brian is the sharktopus.
So Ben's won 3 games, and Brian has won now 3 games. So now it comes down to this ultimate epic competition of Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Guest is World Bodybuilding and Fitness Federation Diva Bikini Pro Champ Kelly Boone. That is quite the mouthful.
You know, she's been on the cover of both Inside Fitness and Fit and Firm magazine.
Just wait until you see the video we've put together.
She can calf raise my entire body weight. I have very high expectations for this intro.
Yeah, it's no surprise she took home the gold during her first ever WBFF competition. Here's her bio.
Kelly Boone entered into the world of modeling after being encouraged by clients to do so. She trains vigorously in order to be in top shape for competition and also trains others. Kelly made her grand entrance in her first ever competition in 2011 by winning the title. I'm here with champion fitness model, Kelly Boone. Thanks for coming in, Kelly.
Thank you very much for having me.
Alrighty, right on to the first question. For the people at home, what does the average competition entail?
Well, it's quite a long process, actually. In terms of a bikini fitness contest, such as the one that I competed in, it's a very long preparation, so months, usually like 5 to 6 months of very hardcore training, you know, a very stringent diet and preparation process. And then the actual competition itself, it's typically a bikini round, so you're compared amongst, you know, like 40 to 50 other beautiful bikini models. And also you do typically a dress round, so it's sort of like a beauty pageant in a way, at least within the category that I compete in. But there are several other categories as well. So there's usually a fitness or physique category, and then figure, and then bodybuilding for the men as well. But I'm bikini, so it's, you know, the least sort of lean, most muscular category of them all. So,
describe the feeling of winning the WBFF World Championship.
Yeah, that was definitely probably the most memorable experience of my life so far. I didn't expect it, you know, I really didn't expect it coming into competing for the first time, and it was such a rewarding experience because I really actually prepared myself fully for the competition all by myself. So, you know, I trained myself, I trained with others in the industry as well, but I didn't have anyone else training me or putting together a program for me. I did my own diet, you know, I did my own walking and posing, my own hair and makeup. So it was a very rewarding experience, and it really showed me a lot about myself and what I can achieve. So yeah, it still blows my mind to this day. I still have to pinch myself every time I think about it. So yeah.
Best type of feeling.
Best feeling, yeah.
Take us through your typical day, you know, getting ready for competition and just in general.
Okay, so in general, well, it obviously varies from, you know, everyday life to competition life. Everyday life, I typically wake up and I do spinning in the morning. So that's something that I actually just recently started incorporating into my routine, and it starts my day off right. So it gets my endorphins going. I'm feeling great for the rest of the day. I feel like I'm able to kind of tackle anything, you know, in the rest of my day after I get it started that way. So spinning, always training clients throughout the day. I train Monday through Sunday. so I never take days off from training clients. I usually do a weight session throughout the day, and sometimes I'll do cardio at night. So 2 to 3 workouts a day normally, especially now when I'm trying to get myself back into tip-top shape. When it comes to competing, it's very similar. I keep very isolated, so I don't do a lot of social things. I'm kind of all about business and just working hard in the gym and just doing the things that I enjoy. So again, very isolated, lots of cooking, you know, lots of training, spending time with family and my closest friends. And it's a lifestyle, you know, and you hear that a lot, but it really is, you need to truly be on your game all the time. So there's none of this going out to clubs, and, you know, that's just not really a part of my life. So that's basically how my days look.
Staying in the zone.
Yeah, always. Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of food, what's
Yes.
your diet like?
Okay. For a little while it got off par a bit, but I've, you know, I've got it back on track. So I'll take you through my diet right now. So in the morning, I usually do my cardio on an empty stomach. So fasted cardio, which helps to lean you out a lot. I get really hungry by the time I get home to get my breakfast.
Of course.
But, yes, but usually I have about 1/3 cup of oats, so plain organic oats. And then I'll actually sprinkle I do whey protein, so I'll put 1 scoop of whey protein on top with a little bit of almond milk. That's typically my breakfast. And then I will do veggies throughout the day, lots of beans, broccoli, spinach, some cabbage in there, and then lots of meat. So anywhere from extra lean ground beef even. I do beef. I don't really do too much fish. You'll hear a lot of people eating, you know, tilapia. I'm not a big fish fan, so
Is there a thing that athletes, you know, in your competition, you know, stay away from fish?
Do I stay? No, actually, a lot of people incorporate it into their diets because it is a lean protein. Me personally, I don't really enjoy the flavor of it, so I'll do a little bit here and there, but I can kind of get away with doing just chicken, some turkey, and a little bit of extra lean ground beef as well. So that's it really, just a lot of veggies, asparagus too, especially when I'm, you know, getting closer to competition time. It's a natural diuretic, so it helps to flush all the water out of your body and sort of show, you know, your muscles and makes you look a little bit more lean. So I do a lot of asparagus as well. Lots of eggs, egg whites. Right now I'm not doing too much fats. Like sometimes I'll do, you know, raw almonds, walnuts, some raw organic almond butter, but I get really crazy with the almond butter. It's such a guilty pleasure to me, so I go crazy with it. So I've cut that out recently. So that's essentially my diet.
And perfect. And quickly, last question.
Yes.
What are you looking toward for the future? What's the big dream?
The big dream is to build a Kelly Boone fitness empire. So I want to cover all aspects of the fitness industry. I want to have my own clothing line. I'd love to one day host a sports or a fitness TV program. I just sort of want to say yes to the opportunities that come my way and just build up as much as I can, and just it will progress as I go and it will evolve. So I'm not quite sure exactly what it looks like yet, but I'm just kind of taking it day by day and doing what I love.
Perfect. That's all the time we have for now,
All
but
right.
thank you so much for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
I think we should have in the spirit of competition, have a arm wrestling contest.
Let's do it. All right, I'm up for the challenge.
So am I.
All right. Oh, standing and everything.
Yes.
So what are the rules? I mean,
I guess the traditional hand on the table
Okay.
and just go from there.
all right. Are you ready?
I hope so.
Are you really ready?
I think I am.
Okay.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I had it there almost.
You put up
but
a good fight there. You did.
Yes, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Now that I'm sufficiently embarrassed, we can head right on over to the next competition. Finally, we can find out who's better at being average.
On my right, weighing in at 360 pounds, standing 6'8", the beef thief himself, Brian Oliver. And to my left, at a solid 43 kilograms and 156 centimeters, the Golden Jet, Ben Carter.
Ooh.
All right, gentlemen, the game is Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and the rules are simple. The first person to win 2 out of 3 rounds will be champion. Gentlemen, are you ready?
I was born ready.
I'm ready, dog.
Let's keep it a clean fight. Remember, no hitting below the belt. If you want to touch gloves, touch gloves.
Yeah, we'll touch tips.
Touch tips. Touch.
All right then. On your marks, get set, fight!
Yes.
The first point goes to Ben.
Oh yeah. Feels good to get off to a good start.
Well fought. Touch tips.
Touch.
All right.
No, and a point goes to Brian Oliver. So far, we have a tie.
I guess this is it.
Final point.
Best of luck.
You too.
It's been a treacherous journey.
Oh.
What's the ruling?
Well, I would say that's probably another tiebreaker. So, one more round.
Just never ends.
Sudden death.
All right, let's do this.
Watch the board there, pal.
And the winner of Rock'em Sock'em Robots is Ben Carter.
Look at this bad boy. No expenses spared. Looks like you're the best at being average. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels incredible. This has been a day-long dream of mine, and it feels fantastic to finally realize it.
Good, I'm glad. And Brian,
This
how
sucks.
do you feel?
Sucks.
How do you feel your belt stacks up?
I don't want to talk about the game. He cheated, I'm convinced.
I don't know about that. Ending the show on Rock'em Sock'em Robots, I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, for everyone here at the Clutch, thanks for joining us. Now, which one of you guys is looking to lose? Bring it on, Danny!
Sip in there, Dan.
1, 2, 3.